I'm not the biggest Michael Rosen fan, and people say to me, keel over and die. Well, actually, people say to me, if that's true, how come you're here to tell a terrible YouTube pool? I don't f***ing care. Keel over and breathe. But before we start the pool, I just want to say happy birthday, Michael. Ow! He's not going to watch this shit. Sorry, Dad, yeah, sorry. Just play the ducking clip. Hot for teacher. We had a teacher who was so hot, you'd give your right arm to have one night with her. She used to stand out the front going, oh no! My book is on the floor, and she would bend over and show her sweet big butt. Nice. I had to listen to her lessons, but I'm trying to look through her shirt. She kept talking about the Industrial Revolution. Meanwhile, I've got big boner. I try to hide my erection. It's no good. I can't. It's taller than the Hollywood. And then she said, Michael, name one of the trading goods from Holland. Oh, I didn't know we had to read about that place. And I said, we did. And I hear Hans snorting away like mad. Nope. You just got yourself 3 hours of detention. Oh no! That was so awkward. I had made a fool of myself in front of my favourite teacher. But little did I know that I was in for something really good. I think you know what I mean. Later that day, after the class was over, I took my book and went back there again. There was some sexy blues music playing, and I suddenly catch sight of my teacher's big breasts poking out. Wait, what? I'm not kidding. She was exposing her cleavage, and there they were. 2 jug things. I tried to talk to her. I'm here now. I'm ready to start the lesson. She answers, oh yes, of course. The lesson. First, I'll just make myself comfortable. It sure is hot in here. But my teacher, what's she doing? She starts to unbutton her shirt. It was then I realised she's trying to turn me on. And so she said to me in a quiet voice, now, we can't have you getting a bit hard on in my lesson. How about I take care of that little problem here and now? I try to stop myself. Well, actually, I take off my clothes and she puts it in her mouth and starts to... And by the end, there was so much of it that the gleaming lady had to work all day to get it off the floor. I became her boy. I had to pleasure her day after day. If I wanted straight A's, all week I was busting my nuts. It was lovely.
It was lovely.
After a few months of this, we tried something new. My teacher says, why don't we put paper bags on our heads? It would be great. Odd. Any other day I'd have said, no. But that day I said, yeah, it'll be great. We put the bags on our heads and then we start the moaning. Then, after a few minutes of hot, crazy, slippery, wet, sloppy, fantastic sex, I became too hot. I had to take off the bag from my head. It was then I noticed Miss Goodall. She was watching both of us. Then I shout, get off me! And push my teacher on the floor. Oh no! Miss Goodall says, right, I'm stopping you two from being together. My teacher says, but you can't. I love Michael. And then she started crying. She looked like she... That's when my brain starts doing fucked up things. I said, do you want to join in? Actually, that wasn't very smart. Actually, Miss Goodall looked awful. So I think, if I take a knife, I could just... No! No one would notice. No! Actually, I dashed out the window, and then I stop right there. If that's true, how come you're here to tell the tale? Fair enough, and I'll tell you. After the break. No! Malcolm didn't really like Catholic school very much, so this is how it went. So listen here, you disrespectful little weasel. When I say you need to worship God, you should worship God. And if you don't, then I'll fuck you up. Once a boy called Richard Dawkins came to school. He was going to teach us about evolution. And there was always a whiny creation is going, if that's true, how come gorillas have no voices like us? Right, how did I survive the jump? Yes, it is because it was the first floor, yes. And I ran and ran and ran through the streets of London until I got to the police station. Who do you think was the first person I happened to meet? Inspector Gadget. I mean, just a random inspector. And so I tell him, you've got to help me. Miss Goodall is trying to stop me from having sex with my hot teacher. And he said, I usually lock your teacher up in prison and send you to therapy. But, and this is a big but, I remember when I was at school, I wanted to fuck my science teacher. And they wouldn't let me. The inspector looked so sad. And then he said, look, don't worry about it, Miss Goodall. I'll take care of it. And he sent Miss Goodall to prison so that I could keep getting sex. Fantastic. My teacher was delighted. I was delighted. Miss Goodall was in prison. And everything was lovely once again. Wonderful. And then we went home. And then we start the moment I dread when the collab is tomorrow. I'm telling you this, if you don't press the like button, I shall give you to the flesh-eating ducks. Never mind. I don't suppose you'll watch my videos again, will you?